What's going on, my friends, my loved ones? So, today, when I was cleaning up the bathroom, I decided that I was going to listen to some Stoic quotes. And as I was listening to these quotes, I was just thinking, like, man, I could definitely add to these things. And so I just, at random, just picked a website that has a bunch of Stoic quotes on there. I didn't read through, I only read the first one. So, let's see where we go. Since I always seem to have an opinion about everything. So the first thing, to be even-minded is the greatest virtue. Uh, Heraclitus. So basically, balance. To be balanced is a great virtue. You know, that reminds me of something that I thought about, that I heard in an interview of someone who I won't name. And basically, the guy was saying that if you can find vitality and happiness in one aspect, it can carry over to other aspects. You know what I'm saying? If you're doing great with your family, it carries over to how good you're doing in your work. It enables you to do that. If you're doing good at work, it enables you to be even better to your family. But again, you have to find that balance, and it's not just about family and business. It's a multitude of things, and that's why I'm just kind of big on diversifying when it comes to the makings of me. And so I don't go looking for that one thing that's going to satisfy me. It won't be one relationship that's going to satisfy me. You know, it a relationship will definitely have something to do with it, but it'd be a relationship, and it'd be my mental health, and it'd be my physical health. Diversify, you know. And I'm so big on as above, so below. So if they say when it comes to stocks, you should diversify, then why not do that in actual life? You'd be much more happier, much more fulfilled, much more to look forward to, much more to give. And it is because I seek after so many things, it seems like I always have something to say about something. I don't know. But then again, everyone does, I guess. But I don't know. It's just, I guess that's why I always see I can probably fit in with most crowds if I chose to. Now I don't really choose to fit in. I choose to kind of stay off to myself and just listen, and I guess maybe that's a season. Maybe that's just where I am right now. But and I don't keep score. So maybe I do. Well, let's say I spend a whole week just doing nothing but playing a bunch of chess. Now, just playing a bunch of chess alone, I mean, that isn't really going to get me anywhere. But then the next week, I may cut back drastically, and then I may spend more time reading. Reading may take up a bunch of my time. And then the next week, maybe it's playing video games, may take up most of my time. Maybe it's working out. Maybe it's just spending time with my family. But whatever it is, I'm always tapping into something kind of greater beyond any structure. I appreciate structure and routine, but I often look beyond it and just kind of let my antennas start feeling for what it is I truly desire the most at any given moment. you know it was like, I read in the book Mamba Mentality, and Kobe Bryant was just talking about um listening to your body. And so I learned to listen to my body. And I used to beat myself up about going to sleep. I mean, it's 3 a.m. right now where I am, and naturally, you want to go to sleep early so you can rise early. Now I don't even try to force it, because any moment I find just alive and awake, I should just be in that moment. It's not gonna last forever. Um, so it's just a couple of things that I'm working on. What is balance? I don't try to measure anything, but it's just a feeling, you know, because what balance for me may be different You may have a it may be different from your definition. For me, balance might be working 60 hours a week, and working more than you work, and maybe playing less than you play, and that works for me. But I mean, that's not really the case. But I'm just really, if I had to be realistic, my balance would probably be 10 10 hours a week playing or working, and the rest just being lazy, I guess. I don't know. I'm always switching up of what it means to be, but you just feel it, okay? That's why I don't try to, put a scale up or anything like that. Let me see what we got next. I could talk about being balanced all the time because it's such a cliche. It's so vague. You gotta find balance, man. You gotta find balance, But I guess it's always worth repeating. I guess that's why you would call it a cliche. From Epictetus. Just keep in mind, the more we value things outside of our control, the less control we have. Yeah, that's a good one. Basically, if it's out of your control, then you must let go of the worry, you know? Like, for example, the poor habits of people that, whom you really love. You got to start making peace with things. And fact of the matter is, life is full of death. It's the, it's the one of the few guarantees that you'll have here. It's if you lived a life up to this point where you didn't have to experience much death in your family, well, it is coming. And what you will find is that a lot of people speed up the process through their habits, and you can't control it. You know, Parents obese and they got a drinking problem, poor eating problem, of course, whatever it is. Maybe they got a smoking problem. Maybe they got a spending problem. My mom has a spending problem. She just keeps spending, almost like it's a gun to her head. And I have to release from that. Now, I also did kind of come to the conclusion that this is probably going to fall on my lap. It's probably going to fall on my table. But well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. All right. I'm big on living in the moment. And at the end of the day, I have my own obligations. I have a daughter. I have a child to take care of. All right. I love my mom to death, but if she can't get it together, then that just may be her downfall. But I'm always going to do the best that I can for her. But you can't change people. Unfortunately, and people, maybe more times than not, are their own demise. They are the reason for their own demise, and you see it all the time. Heart failure from eating too much McDonald's, heart, or heart attacks from smoking too much and eating too much McDonald's, obesity. For me, it's like, but you know what I mean. And it's just, you got to have that healthy dose of like detachment when it comes to the people in your life that you love, man. That alone can be a very uh, alienating thing, a very lonely thing. But in any event, finding peace with that understanding is well, I mean, that's a virtue. I mean, it is called, I did say peace after all. And well, then you just focus on the things that you can control, and hopefully as you start to change your lifestyle and better yourself, the world around you starts to get better. That's what I've been told happens. And I gotta admit, I've been seeing it. I've been seeing it, Um, and I guess in that regard, the future is bright. So detach. See what we got next. Marcus Aurelius. The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say or think or do, only what you do. hmm Yeah. So this is something that I feel like is probably a problem at an all time high, mainly to do with social media. Anxiety is likely at an all time high, and we care so much. what another person has to say. Um, and because of that, we never actually get around to doing the things that we really want to do the most. Just fear of being judged, man. And I never found the proper way, the correct way to get straight to the core of what I want to say about that. But if you will allow me to kind of paint a picture, it's just people die. You know what I'm saying? We already spoke about this. I already said this. You already know this. People die, and I just sometimes I have the picture in my mind, but can't always properly say is that we spend our lives living for other people or trying to be in the box of someone's liking. And what happens when they go? What happens when they die? What happens when they use you up and they're gone? Then what? You go look for somebody else to please? You look for somebody else's standards to live up to? When does it end? And I tell you, if that is the lifestyle you subscribe to, then it never does end until you do. And you know what? And that's why two of the wealthiest places in the world with the most information, the most imagination, the two wealthiest places, one is the library and the other is the graveyard, you know? And so, little by little, if I had to encourage you or challenge you to do something, little by little, take back more and more of your power by building up competency or building up your confidence by building up competency by immersion, solo immersion, maybe even among a group, but immersion into something that people uh, can never take away from you. And another thing I just want to say before I forget, because I'm like that. Um, you want to get used to forgetting the the outcome, forgetting the outcome. Just do. You know something? Some of the greatest philosophers are children. And when my cousin, and she's pretty bright now, she turned into a little gamer or whatever. I think she's 9 years old. When she was 4 years old, there was she was doing something in the driveway. I feel like maybe she was jumping rope. And I was like, man, I don't even think I can do that no more. And you know what she said to me? Don't think, just do. People spend their whole lives just to get to that piece of information that a 4-year old had that we probably all knew when we were 4. Don't think, just do. Don't try, just do. Don't worry, just do. You ever wonder how grass makes it through concrete? You know, nobody has any expectations for the grass, but the grass has purpose. At least one that I can think of. I don't know much about agriculture or whatever grass constitutes as, but it's to grow. It's supposed to grow. And it's very persistent. The concrete that's on top of it, it's not persistent. It's solidified. That's it. You know, it may weaken over time, but I don't really know. Maybe I'm ignorant, but I don't think it strengthens. And grass blades, grass in general, th- by the law of nature, they just keep growing until now you don't see the grass that doesn't make it, but some make it through. And that's just because it does what it's supposed to do without fear, without worry. If grass worried about uh, the hardened ceiling, then it wouldn't do anything. It would never pop up. I mean, now it may be an eyesore to see grass pop up through concrete, but it's just a great analogy. It's a great metaphor for life. And too many of us, we we voluntarily give ourselves these impenetrable uh, ceilings. And even still, I mean, on top of the obstacles that are already thrown our way. Now, what if we just, left life, or if we didn't add to these barriers and we just took on the barriers that were placed in front of us, applying that same principle? Well, then I would like your chances. All right. Only humans tell themselves, to my understanding, that enough is enough. This is where I settle. This is where I stop. And just as much as we fear failure, we fear shining too bright because everybody looks at us. Wherever, people may look at us funny. You ever see anybody look up at the sun? What do? They just start squinting and, you know, but they look, and that's kind of what it's like, you know. The the more you shine, the more they envy, the more they want to put their blinders on, the more they want to cast shade. And you've been down many times. You've been down plenty of times, so many. And that alone should be a lesson, because all the love in the world, and still nobody can save you when you reach a certain level, mentally, emotionally. You know, for a lot of you, you've been placed in many positions where you say, I'm all I got. I'm all I got. Nobody else is going to pick me up. When I am up, everybody want to pull me down. When I'm down, nobody want to pull me up. That right there, that right there should always give you your edge. And you got to treat yourself, you got to treat your mental health like it is your child. I'm learning this, by the way. And cuz I always put this in perspective. You know, I do have a history of fighting, you know, getting involved in some confrontation, but I don't like it. I really don't, you know. I'm not the type of person to run away or really back down, but I don't like it. And I always, sometimes I just, little quick thoughts pop up in my head. I don't try to think about these things. And I always thought, I've been thinking like, well, if I was somewhere, it was just me and my daughter, and someone tried to cause her harm, what would I do? Would I be a coward, or would I fight? 20 times out of 10, maybe even more than that, I would fight. I would fight. There is no greater purpose than to take care of what is yours. There really isn't. How can you walk through life when you don't take care of what is yours, what is most precious? And so you have it. But because we don't think highly of ourselves, in fact, we think so low of ourselves, and we took humility to a level where it is extremely toxic. Nobody ever talks about toxic humility. Is that we will willingly make ourselves small so others can appear big, so others don't bother us, so others don't contest us. Play chess, my friends. Quite, I mean, literally, play chess. You got to get comfortable with all types of obstacles being thrown your way, signing up to battle, signing up to outthink your competition, outthink your obstacles. This is serious business right here. That one principle alone can be the defining factor in the road to greener pastures. You know what I'm saying? I really believe that. I'm actually, uh, I'm glad I started reading this. You know, Oftentimes, the reason, I'm a bit selfish. Reason why I do videos like this is because it helps me. I get to talk to myself. I see myself. It's like I'm talking to myself in the mirror. That's what's so powerful about it, you know. And other people can, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, I have again, it goes back to what you can't control, you shouldn't worry about. You know, I used to be kind of concerned when I would do live videos back on Facebook, but also on YouTube, and nobody would be tuning in. You know, but I shouldn't worry about that anymore. To whom it may concern, you never know the impact you're gonna have on somebody's life, but you won't have any impact if you don't extend yourself, if you don't try. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about dying empty, because throughout life you emptied yourself out in the best ways, in the best of ways. Okay, so where was I? Yeah. Okay. So the next one is by Seneca. The whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately. Now, I do plan on making a video talking about playing the long game. Fact of the matter is, you can make a plan for how you expect your 30s, 40s, 50s to go, but some unforeseen fate can just cut that short. Can just, you know, I was thinking to myself, what am I going to do on my 30th birthday next year? Not going to drink, not going to smoke. What am I going to do? You know, the audacity of me to even question what I'm going to do on my 30th birthday, and there's no guarantee that I'll make it. There's no guarantee, you know? I think about that many times when I make these videos. This might be my last video. Might be my last video. Um, and so now, you see, this actually goes back to the conversation, the balance, because I'm big on living in the moment, but you still have to have an idea of where you would want to be. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, if you have an idea of where you would want to be later on in life, then you can start incorporating that to now. For example, if you wanted to have a book done by whatever date, well, then you start writing now. You know what I'm saying? If you want to reach a certain weight, then you start working out now, you know, and work towards making each day better, more fulfilling. Apply compound interest because, of course, there's no guarantee that you will make it to a certain day. But what if you do? You know, you want to get there and say, see, I should have known that I was going to make it. Should have known I was going to make it to 50, but I knew that, tomorrow was not guaranteed. And that's why the YOLO philosophy, it doesn't really work for me. In fact, it's very narrow. It's very narrow because it's like you don't only live once. And if you do, you're doing it wrong because you live every day. All right. That's how it's supposed to go. You're supposed to live every day. All right. You never talk about credit. I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? You mean I never talk about credit? That's not my profession. I mean, I can tell you, how to remove. If you have something in collections, I know how to get rid of it. Pretty much, go to Experian and just dispute everything. And when they ask for a reason, you click the button and say, "I don't own this debt" or whatever it is, and you don't give another reason, and they'll get rid of it. I got rid of about $15,000 worth of debt a couple months ago. All right, credit cards. All right, so I don't have to worry about that anymore, and I anticipate student loans going away. Credit doesn't matter too much to me right now. All right, and in the future, I'll be able to tell you how. But also, don't say that I don't talk about credit because I do. I put out a Nasara video and I explain to people how to do that. I put out a couple of Nassar videos, and I put out a credit video as well. Now that I think about it, that may have been last year. Let's see. Did I sum that up? Yeah, okay. All right, let's see. Okay, another one from Seneca. It does not matter what you bear, but how you bear it. Pretty much. Kind of reminds me of what Bukowski was talking about in one of his writings. He was just talking about how you can have style just doing anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's either you got it or you don't. Do I think you can inherit it? Sure. Live a little and apply some of the other principles that I read. Don't worry about what anybody else think, man. Just do your own thing. You'll be surprised. You'll have people who got all the resources in the world, don't know how to use it to make it grow, can't seem to get a woman, you know, got all these good looks and don't have the confidence. And then you have someone who has maybe very little, but makes do with it. You know, I guess you may. I was gonna say maybe doesn't know any better, but that may not necessarily be the case. It's just you make do, or you just find yourself to be extremely grateful. I for one, just kind of reflecting on my life, I I found riches in the little things. Uh, to many degrees, where was I insatiable, but I love the little things, and I love making things happen with what little I had. It just means a lot to me to be resourceful, but also back to my point about the guys who can look good, dress good, uh, even got money. They could take a back seat to somebody who doesn't have any of those things. When it comes to, let's say, attracting women, and I've seen it happen. You've seen it happen. Uh, that's that's happened to me. I've been on the, I just told you, there have been times where I barely had, anything, but I may do. In fact, a big part of the reason why I have a child right now is because I was that broke guy who managed to get somebody to be attracted to me enough to have my child, and then I just took care of the rest. Necessity. Mm. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I do talk about credit, but that's not even really. I don't really have too much to add. If you want to, if you want to send me a question, if you want to ask me a question about it, I can try my best. But other than that, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. To me, it's kind of straightforward, but it's I don't want to downplay the importance of it, but I don't know. I'm actually, want to see how the rest of this year is going to play out, because the way depending on the way the rest of this year plays out, will just pretty much be a deciding factor in what my attention will go towards. Uh, uh, so in many regards, I have put off a couple of things just to focus on other things. At a time like this, I just decided to focus on my mental health, my physical health, my intellectual health, well-being, just those things. Just trying to appreciate the life that I have right now. So I'm just extremely humbled, extremely grateful. That's it, man. And just being nosy, constantly reading the news and stuff. Not the news, but the news. You know what I'm saying? When I say the news, I ain't talking about Fox, CNN, and all that, man. I appreciate that, man. I really do. I mean, I can't stress this enough, man. Words don't even can't even explain when people give me great feedback on this, and just kind of always wanted a platform where I could just be myself. and I spent a great deal of my life, you know, uh, worrying about what people had to say about me, but it didn't stop people from saying some terrible things about me, and I got the text to prove it. And fuck that. I mean, that's best. Fuck that shit, man. I'm going to be who I am, and fortunately about this life, if I'm not something you like, then it shouldn't be too hard to find it. All right, even for the pickiest of people. All right, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and so I don't try to be. All right, I'm not tea at all. I'm probably like black coffee or something with no sugar. Let's see what we got. But yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how sharp your sword is. Yeah, it kind of does matter, but it doesn't matter if you don't know how to use it. You know what I'm saying? Or when it comes to sex, does bigger matter? Not necessarily. I mean, you don't want to have a fucking peewee. You don't want to have an inchworm, but you got to know how to use what you have. And you know, uh, I don't want to get too personal, but I'm not the biggest that a certain person done had, but all signs point that I gave her some experiences that she never had before. All right, and got to roll with that. Again, the things you can't control, don't worry about that. Worry about what you can control. All right, always worry about what you can control. Especially now. I mean, mediocrity is just like the norm. You know what I'm saying? You can be mediocre 6 days out the week. On the seventh day, you can go ahead and outwork the average person. You know what I'm saying? Eh, that's just the life that we're living. Uh, you say you think Trump's going to win again, but if he doesn't win, what do you think will happen to Nassar Act? There won't be one. All right, but I'm pretty confident that it's kind of already solidified. But I mean, that's a different conversation. But I will say that if it does happen, first of all, a lot of you who got man, this is such a deep conversation. But I will say that a lot of you who uh, got the tax holiday, you got no taxes taken out of your check, you won't have to pay it back. Now, if Trump ends up not being the president, then yeah, you'll probably be paying that shit back, man. All right. But let me get back on with this, man. I'll be speaking more on that later. As you probably know, maybe you don't know, there's been a lot of big news coming out, just kind of on the low, man. It's even finding its way to mainstream media, pointing at Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, of course, Barack Obama, the Clintons. It's not looking good for them. All right, so everything that was predicted, it looks like it's unfolding. All right, it can't come fast enough for me, but it's happening. They're going down. Uh, it is what it is. All right, make peace with that, everybody. Please do. Some might say they already went down. Okay. Hmm. Okay, here's another one from Seneca. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. Something I was thinking to myself, and it's not original at all. But and nobody thinks about this really. But scar tissue is tougher than the original. It may not look good, but it's tougher. You know what I'm saying? And it'll do. All right. The scar tissue will protect you from infections, and in that particular area, it's just going to be a lot tougher. Okay. So if you will if you accept these bumps and bruises, understanding that they may throw you off, but through its teachings and through the experience, it will make you grow. And that alone will kind of fix your perspective towards not not worrying about the outcome, or kind of worrying about what will happen in general. What will the cause be? What may happen, what may happen if whatever you do, just not worrying about it, because these bumps and bruises, most of them, they are unforeseen. Like, look at the scars on your body. Like, did you do any of it to yourself? Did you? Most of it, probably not. All right. If you aren't the type of person who cuts themselves, chances are you have a bunch of scars that you didn't ask for. My body is full of scars I didn't ask for. Scars on my shoulder from when I was 16. All right. But I learned a lot back then. Those things happened to me, and it forced me to grow. All right. You start to fear you start to have less fear towards things like taking a beating or fighting in general when you go through it, and you can tell who hasn't taken a punch to the mouth. It's because the littlest thing can just throw them off. And that's why I like my background, and that's why I like where I came from, and that's why I like the edge that I have, and that's why I appreciate the trauma and appreciate the heartbreak and appreciate all the times I felt suicidal. It really showed me things that a lot of people just they don't see because they won't allow themselves to go that deep. So like when I talk to certain people about meditation, and they say, you know, I, I've been running, or they say I don't really want to see these things or whatever. I personally understand that of course I didn't want to see those things either, but because I did, I was able to grow. I was able to gain a great deal of wisdom. I was able to tap into that. And my most recent bout with seeing the darkness inside of me was what inevitably led me to the hospital. And that's because I had a great deal of depersonalization, and it was extremely scary. And I had a tough time bouncing back. I really did. Even months after getting out of the hospital, it was extremely tough. Some days right now, it still is tough because I'm not back all the way. And, I could do better in my treatment, but I'm just not back all the way. But in seeing those things and being faced with such a fate that you can't run from, well, then what are you going to do? If you can't run, then you got to face it. You know what I'm saying? That's what it truly means to face your fears. It's understanding that maybe I can try to run, but where am I going to go? You know what I'm saying? You can try to, there's no safe place for you. You just always be running. Never, never feeling comfortable enough to rest. And I had trouble with that, man. I really did. I really had to build myself back up this year. You know, it started off with a lot of turbulence, surrounded by drinking and smoking and being suicidal and making terrible decisions, and landing myself on the FBI watch list, and finding myself in the psych ward, you know, melting myself down into practically nothing. It was so bad. I couldn't even watch TV. I couldn't deal with any excitement. I couldn't deal with nothing. No, no video games, nothing. You know, I had to start all over. And I felt fear so deep, so much shame, so much pain, that even my 2-year-old daughter felt it. I remember one time I was in the bathroom because, well, she just gonna follow me to the bathroom. And I was so tired. I was so tired of the depersonalization. And I was just saying to her, like, man, I'm so sorry, man. This is so hard, man. I'm, I don't know if I'm gonna make, just things along the lines of that. I don't remember exactly what I said. And I could tell that she felt my pain. She wouldn't even pick her head up, you know. She was just looking down, like she was also sad. And it's just hurtful to even think about that. And So I mean, I had a vision for myself, and I had a vision very early, even when it was very foggy. We're talking about back in May. You know, I was in the hospital too, just 2 days after my birthday. It was really bad, and I said that I was gonna give up those old ways, man. I almost killed myself. You know, uh, just just bad decisions, and I said I was gonna build myself up. I was gonna build my mind up. I was gonna build my body up. And I was just gonna be a better man. I was gonna treat people fairly, and I was going to spend more time playing chess, and I was gonna face life, however however it comes. And in making that decision, life fortunately it did get better. There will be many storms, and I can never convince myself otherwise. But I am happy with that progress, man. A lot of us will take these bumps and these bruises, these punches to the face, as a just as a personal attack, and maybe we should take it as a personal attack, but we treat it as if, oh, God doesn't love me, or I'm doomed, or the world hates me, fuck the world, and all that. But we all have these battles. We all have battles that nobody knows anything about. All right. So although every person, no two alike, everyone is special, but you're not special in that regard. And that's just one of the beauties of life, man. Just understanding that we could be so blessed to have obstacles to overcome that many people have succumbed to. It's really beautiful, man. It really is. It really is. And that's where your strength comes from. Finding beauty in the things that scare the shit out of you. All right. That's why people feel what I say. And that's why I got no nonsense about me. And that's why I don't feel like I gotta negotiate by way of lying, by way of being deceitful. Because why? I've gained my peace, I've gained my strength, I've gained my wisdom the hard way. And then the hard way became easier for me. And now I don't feel a need to lie. I don't feel a need to run. Nothing to run from. Yeah, I did some foolish things, and I threatened the FBI, and Homeland Security came to see about that. Yeah, they sent Homeland Security to me on my birthday. On my birthday, like right after my right after it midnight. And man, my family was freaking the hell out. I didn't even know, because I was drunk at the time. Um, my mom called me. She was like, "What did you do?" And I'm like, "What?" I don't. She's like, "Homeland Security came looking for you," and like, what did I do? I forget. I mean, I forgot, and but I don't know. Luckily, I'm not trying to get a government job. That's a whole different story, man. I didn't spoke on it before, but man, life is just interesting, man. They, eh, I just knew I was so. So you want to talk about stoicism? Maybe because I was drunk. I was so sure that I was going to jail that night that I was just at peace, man. I was just like, when I heard this, I was like, oh, because they went to my grandma's house, and then from my grandma's house they sent them to my aunt's house where I was. And I was just like, well, I guess I'm going to jail. Just pretty calm, man. I wasn't worried at all, man. Talk about liquid courage. And I was like, well, I guess I'm going to jail. I guess I went to go put my shoes on. I don't know what I went to go do, but that's behind me for now. And I haven't heard from them in a while. So I guess I'm good. I'm a weasel. I keep finding ways to just get out of some of these crazy situations that I put myself into, and so I don't want to do that anymore. Okay, I don't want that type of attention anymore. I want to live a long life, and I want to see my children grow, maybe even some grandchildren. Who knows? Maybe. Okay, so I'll go with one more, and maybe we do another tomorrow or later on today because it is tomorrow. I want to play some chess before I go to sleep, and man, I got plenty of these things to expound on, so it should be fun going forward. So the last thing, it's a Zen proverb: to be calm is the highest achievement of the self. Okay, and the cornerstone, if you will, of stoicism is to not let your emotions take over. Whereas emotions can build you up, it can have you vibrating uh, at a higher level. It's not always sustainable. Not only can it burn you out but for some emotions, it can actually dumb you down. You know, um, for example, you may think getting fired up gives you all that extra power to beat somebody's ass. And in some regards, yeah, sure. Depending on what that intangible force is that's fueling you on top of the anger. Like for example, if you if you feel angry because somebody, I don't know, made fun of you or something like that, it's not the same as if somebody harmed your family member. Then you just have this extra force fueling you. And but less about that and more so that the calmer you are, the more clarity you have. And the more clarity you have, it seems like time slows down, because you're able to think faster. And that's why it gives you that um, illusion. And so I like to practice being calm by, I always tell you that, like, I always speak on how expectations are synonymous with heartbreak. But I just mean like having expectations for things going according to plan the way you want it to go. But I think it's quite good to expect bad things to happen or the potential for bad things to happen because bad things do happen. You don't want to, blindside yourself by saying, I'm just going to block out the thought that bad things may happen. Yeah, of course, don't ruminate on it. Don't let it affect you, but also don't be blind to the fact that these bad things can happen. And the more you get in touch with that, maybe you call it negative realization, the more peace you have with it. All right. And at the end of the day, it's not even real. The only real thing that you truly do have is this present moment. And I really can't stress that enough. But to prepare for situations of high intensity or high intensity, with a lot of conflict, puzzling situation of sorts, you prepare yourself for that through. I spoke on negative visualization, so basically meditating and again getting in front of that chessboard, man, slowing things down, making decisions at your own pace, and back to meditating and just martial arts, but to focus on your breathing, and to focus on trying to keep in kind of a even playing field, just staying even. I don't think it's anything inherently wrong with emotions, but I do think it's something wrong with solely relying on emotion to get something done. You know what I'm saying? Like you wait until you're mad to tell somebody how you really feel, or to wait until you feel sad and lonely to call somebody, you know, eh, or wait until you're, I don't know, till you're happy to, I don't know, do whatever happy people do. I don't know, give people a hug or something. You know what I'm saying? I think that It should always come. Now, look, see, I was gonna say that it should always come from just a calm place, but that, I mean, that's not realistic. But I think that it should always be the goal to find that place mentally, emotionally, that it kind of lifts you the most. It kind of gives you the most uh, contentment. That makes you feel the most content, where you feel where you feel the most free. And when you feel the most free, you make the best decisions. When you feel desperate, you don't make great decisions. You may make fast ones, dumb ones. This is the reason why I like the chessboard so much. It's because I found that you can find a link to your problems right on that chessboard. All right. Make moves too fast. I don't think my moves over. I don't think about the consequences of my moves. I don't think about the consequences of my consequences. I'm underestimating the person in front of me. I'm not paying attention to my obstacles. I'm not paying enough attention. Moving too fast, maybe even moving too slow. You know, moving too slow. You see, I say be calm, take your time and stuff like that. But moving too slow, then you got to move fast on the back end to accommodate. All right. So this is when I talk about balance. Finding your pace. You know, I'm big on keeping a. I'm big on keeping up with a pace that works for you. All right. So I don't know how things are, uh, but I noticed that in the NBA in years past, and things have changed. The pace has gone up tremendously. But what I found is that teams with the fastest pace would often turn the ball over the most. Teams with the slowest pace would turn the ball over at a lesser rate. You know, think uh, Greg Popovich and the Spurs when he had Tim Duncan and Tony Parker. They had this. They were among the slowest in pace in the NBA. They won championships doing that, playing mistake-free basketball. You know what I'm saying? You always hear coaches talking about mistake-free football. You know, and so it's just how it goes, man. Put yourself in a position where you can make the least amount of mistakes. And I found that the calmer you are, uh, the less you make mistakes. All right. And so, with that being said, there's gonna be a part two all the way to part 50 because I talk so goddamn much, and I probably only spoken on 6 or 7 out of about 420. I'm not lying to you. So this should be very interesting. All right, so I'm about to go play some chess. I practice what I preach, and I preach what I practice. All right, take care.